just wait. So what you're going to do when you see the picture, your goal is to try and figure out what is going on. So what's happening in the picture? You're going to use 3 things to do this, and it's going to be on the board, so you're all right. You're going to look, and you're going to look for things that you can see to help you figure out what it is. That seeing something is going to lead to you thinking about what it would be, and then after that, you may still be wondering about what's happening somewhere. So you're going to look for stuff that you see that will lead to you thinking something's happening, and then be wondering. I want you to think about basic things like where is it at, what time frame is it in, who the people are, those types of things. So see, think, wonder. You're going to do this with one person at your desk, another buddy at your desk, and you can write them on one of your blank sheets of paper. Okay, so I'm going to put it up. Remember, if you've seen it before, just excuse yourself from it, and we'll have 2 parts to it, so you'll participate in about 2 minutes. Alright, so it'll go up here in a second.
I hope I know it.
If you have seen it before, but you're not sure what it is, no big deal. This picture, it'll be up right here. Okay, I'll shut off the light.
Okay, I'm seeing this.
It's okay, just no need to brag, just pause. Alright, so you got 2 minutes here. You work with the person at your desk. What do you see that leads you to think something or wonder even more? So you're right, see, think, wonder at the bottom. What's happening?
We don't want to write anything down if we know it.
If you know it, just pause. There's a second half, you'll help. Here, I'll give an example. On here, I see this volleyball poster. I'm seeing, I think it's from last year. Why do I think that? Because I see Morgan Hafel and she's not on the team this year. All right, so something like that. Go ahead.
There's a few people that read a lot of emotions.
Do it at your tables. We'll go to the whole group in a minute. Have you all seen this one? You should write it down? You should be seeing and wondering. I heard you say something.
I want to know what it is.
Alright, wrap it up in the next 10 seconds. Wrap it up in the next 10 seconds. Then move on to phase dos. Alright, here's phase 2. Some of you at your desk may still have some sticky notes left. If you do, get them out. Otherwise, I'll give you mine here in a minute. What you're going to do is I'm going to bob from table to table. You're going to send someone up. You don't need to write on these. And you're just going to say, we saw this, so we thought this. And you're going to put the sticky note on what you saw. Okay, like I did with Miss Hafel up here. So we'll start with you.
We need sticky.
I have one. You're not ready. You can go next. What did you see and what did it make you think? Careful, there's a jacket there.
I saw that Secret Serviceman talking to this president, which I believe is President Bush.
Mm-hmm.
Does that say what I think he's saying?
Well, what do you think of, why do you think he's whispering?
Because there's an issue.
Because it's something important, it's an issue. Very good. Thank you, Rosalie. Mr. William, did you have something at your group that you saw that made you think something?
All right. I mean, I know the picture.
Oh, well, just entertain me.
All right. Well, he's in a classroom. He's reading to kids.
So, what did you see that made you think that?
You know, it's literally like the these little boards are always in classrooms.
Yes.
And they have like childish stuff.
Yes, so he saw the little bike book thing on the background, so he assumed he was in a classroom. Any other groups had something different that they saw that made them think something? Those are 2 ginormous ones. So Reagan pointed out, who's this guy?
Bush.
President Bush. We think this guy is what? Because why?
He's like this.
Yeah, he's wearing a suit, his posture, you're seeing that, and he's talking to the president. All right, so someone who knows what's happening here, well, Billy, you came up and participated, so I'll let you share with the world what's going on in this picture.
So he's reading to a classroom, and then the Secret Service comes in because he learned about that like 9/11 is happening at the time.
Yes, so this is the exact moment when President Bush learned about the attacks at the Twin Towers on 9/11. He's in Florida at an elementary school reading to a classroom. You can see there's a student here as well. It's kind of hard to see. Yeah, he's reading to the classroom, and they tell him, and his face, you can see that he's hearing something. I would be like this. Like, what? One of those, look at him. But what happened next was actually I'll save that. So now, part 2 of this, those of you who didn't participate in part 1, with your table, excuse me, I want to take yourselves out of 9/11, stop thinking about 9/11, think about yourself or someone as just a president in general. If you were the president and you heard that some domestic or international event, tragic event had just happened, what do you think are the next 3 things that are going to happen? So with your table, with your group, what happens next? Get out of the mind frame of 9/11. Don't say, get to New York. No, in general, what would the president do next?
I don't think he's going to do that.
I think he's
gotta go.
So he's going to, should we just say get back to Washington?
well, I wouldn't think they would put him on a plane just yet, so I would say he's gonna talk to the town. Or make a live broadcast.
Well, he's definitely going to do class at some point. What step we want to finish the book.
And then,
Wait, okay, it's just get out of, it's not 9/11. He can still fly. He's getting back to Washington.
30 seconds, wrap it up in 30 seconds
Make
here.
an address and then what?
Make an address.
Get back to Washington. Should we say be informed about Washington and then
Finish what you're writing. We'll get to the groups who didn't do the sticky notes. So, my joint chief group, what did you guys say was one of the next things you do?
We'd assemble, like, people from our cabinet, like, from, like,
So advisors.
Yeah, advisors from, like, Secretary of Defense and junk like that.
All right, so they would assemble advisor junk. All right.
Assemble.
Yeah, advisors, assemble. All right, Department of Defense people at that table, what did you guys say was one of your 3 things you do?
Get more informed about the situation at hand.
Yeah, rather than a whisper in the ear, get some more information. And then diplomats, what's one thing you guys said?
Step 1, casually leave the room. Step
Can you
2,
demonstrate casually leaving the room?
do you want me to?
No, I'm okay.
Okay. Step 2, talk to the people who know what's going on. Step 3, solve the problem.
Good. That's very simple and to the point. I liked it. All right, so what we are going to do today, you guys can see at your table, you are assigned one of mine, because I am the president. You are one of my advisor groups. I need you to please take a look at your brown thing in the middle. On the back of the placard or whatever, there is paper. At the top it says roll. Just read through the roll only of your group so you understand your mindset. So someone read through the roll to the rest of the group so you understand your mindset. Real quick, read through the rolls. Just the roll and then you're good. Once you're done with the roll, you can put the brown thing back in the middle.
Basically, we're gonna try to.
Yeah. Personal.
So this is your mindset for today, is the mindset of that roll. Now everyone in your group needs one of these bright green pieces of paper. Don't write on them, please. Just everyone grab one.
Classified.
You bet, it does. I use my computer app skills.
Watermark. Brain slava.
Alright, so I'm the president. I have assembled you, my trusted advisors. I'm going to brief you on a situation happening overseas. And you need to discuss with yourselves ways to advise me on what I'm going to do. So first I'm going to brief you. So follow along with that sheet of paper that you have out. If I say anything that you think is important and pertinent to your role, just jot it down so you have it for later. So if I say something that you think fits, will help your group come up with a decision based off of your role, just jot it down real quick. So I'm going to read through this. So this is a briefing on the current situation in the European nation of Bratislava. It is put together by the State Department. Thank you, State Department. Alright, so Bratislava is a country of 20 million people. It is 80,000 square miles. The government is an oligarchy. What is an oligarchy? Ruled by few. Ruled by few. We're all going to ace this final, I can feel it. There are 1,200 U.S. aid workers on the ground in Bratislava. 1,000 of them are in rural areas, while the rest are in the country's capital. There are 60 employees at the embassy, and there are 0 U.S. troops in Bratislava. Bratislava is located in Eastern Europe. It is landlocked with 5 international borders. Its neighbor to the south buys 50% of their commercial crop, and the other 50% is sold internationally into the rest of Europe. Bratislava's neighbor to the north is an authoritarian oligarchy that wants to take advantage of Bratislava's oil. So that's to the north. They are authoritarian, they're not nice. There is cultural tensions in the nation. The growers and the sellers are the 2 major ethnic groups. The growers live on a subsistence level. They live a life in poverty and are harshly oppressed by the sellers. The growers are not allowed to vote or send their children to school. They live on rich, fertile farmland. They are responsible for producing Bratislava's main commercial crop. They live on the land, and underneath that land is untapped petroleum reserves. They are having a rebellion that is being funded by that authoritarian oligarchy to the north, the one that wants their oil. The sellers are the majority in Bratislava. They control the government and control most of the wealth in the country. So what is happening? Here's what's happening, the crisis, I'm back. A growers' rebellion has broken out. Groups of armed growers are attacking the sellers with knives. The sellers have struck back by ordering the complete slaughter of grower villages. Based on just a few days of fighting, the U.S. aid workers project the death toll to reach 35,000 people in 3 weeks. They predict that continued damage from this civil war will put the population in danger of starvation. Here's some additional data to consider. The U.S. companies are near an agreement with Bratislava and their government to develop the nation's oil reserves for the United States. Most of the military equipment used by Bratislava's army is from the United States and their contractors. America's NATO allies are divided on intervening militarily unless the intervention is led by the United States. They are also divided on whether to support the rebellion of the growers or the seller government. Bratislava imports more grain, machinery, and automobiles from the United States than any other nation in the world. 1/3 of the United States armed forces are currently occupying the country in Central Asia to end civil unrest. 1/3 are on U.S. bases around the world, and the last third are on bases in the United States. The president's political party, my political party, the Josie Party, does not control Congress. The party in control opposes military intervention. So your task, my trusted advisors, you must help me. I need to decide whether to intervene in Bratislava and how. You must give me as much information as possible so that I can make an informed decision and an action plan. You're going to analyze the situation as a group and come up with a proposal and a course of action. You're going to use the information right here on this green sheet. You're going to open the books on your desk to pages 442 through 444 here in a minute and use those, as well as the pink sheets that are your advisor fact sheets to help you come up with something for me. Those pink sheets have additional information that are important to each and every one of you specifically, so you need to look at those as well. When you're coming up with a proposal for me, you guys need to think about these questions here at the bottom of the green sheet. Should we use diplomacy or should we use violence? Would economic sanctions help? Are there any U.S. aid workers in danger? Is it justifiable to send in the military? What would the cost be? Not just money, but lives. And then what about if we don't go to war? What are the costs then? So you guys are going to come up with this. On that pink sheet, on the right half, you can see there are 5 goals of foreign policy. Do you see those? You need to link your proposal to one or more of those in your reasoning with why we should do what you think we should do. So right now, you guys have 15 minutes as a group to look through this new information on the pink sheet, the book pages 442 through 444, look through those things together, and then start forming an advisory opinion proposal for me. When you have come up with your proposal, you guys have these papers on your desk with your seal of your agency. This is what you're going to put your proposals on once you've gone through everything. Okay? So think like your group should think to advise me, the president, on what I should do about Branislava. Okay? You have 15 minutes. I'll put the time up on the board for you once I get it set up. So work together and form a plan.
Okay, so 5 goals of foreign policy.
Amber.
Environment, supporting democracy, providing aid. So I think that promoting world peace and providing aid.
Can you all be in the room or just?
No, just one person reporting.
So basically,
Look at the pink sheets under the roll. There's more info and quotes from things you need to know.
Branislava will join us more as an ally and fight to prevent spread of conflict. And that is what Branislava has to be a shining they are now small to figure out the threat. The aid who call me United States and protect your resolutions and respect for sovereignty. Then Bob Shane, majority rule by letting us
Yeah, make sure you keep your, like, your role as your, yeah, because that has a lot to do with what you decide.
Think like your role. Think like your role. You gotta have the mindset of whatever you're sitting at.
We should have implemented to send troops in to protect the sellers. Because if there's gonna be a complete slaughter,
And we have U.S.
totally. Just try to get in the middle of it all.
So we're going as small as that.
Actually,
I think we need
I actually think maybe just protect growers because honestly,
So we should
yeah,
just go
but
in there and
then,
just protect them all. Yeah.
but then the sellers are trying not to complete slaughter of the growers' village. But the thing is, we're not really connected to the sellers. The sellers are part of the government. Only about, what is it, 2,000 work in the capitals, the country's capital.
Well, they're fighting over the oil.
So this is,
So the
No, they're both. It's almost becoming a simple word. But think of it as like the growers are the farmers and then the sellers are trunks. So
They're both attacking each other. So we just need to both go in there.
Just break everything.
Okay, so on the official sheet, let's say,
but send in troops
meanwhile,
to protect both sides.
There are two waiting.
They could now go to sanctions into where, what are they going
Five says, five years is those who lead.
I think actually you have more time
Then what if in a few days everyone's dead and they're like, we fixed it?
Because I think the United States needs to find their own leader.
The next question would be, would economic sanctions help stop the violence? And I actually don't think it helped because the economic sanctions is where people move into different countries to get away from it, but what would the growers get? They would have what their homes were and they try to find it.
But that's not so bad because nobody's dying.
There's still a bad. Okay, I know we're not new violence.
But they sometimes just take the sellers, like the least one is growers.
It's just so I know where it comes from. Put your proposals on your watermark paper so I know where they come from.
We're gonna send it to protect both sides. Both sides were like to hurt each other.
When we write it on like the front of it, either one. I just need to know which.
So the US thing, they're already coming back in the next yeah, I'd say in the city as 1,000, I don't know, 1,200 are in rural
And then
areas.
I'm connected to
Which are the growers that are too. There's gonna be big slaughter. Yeah.
These guys here.
So, setting in trips would help save the USA from all.
We need the language to that. I think we should.
Yeah, I can look at it.
Okay. Yeah, you can put that at the top too. That'd be helpful to me. Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
There's 1,000 rural areas.
Are we saying anything about the word economic sanctions help stop the violence?
So then the economic sanctions, I don't think it would help because I'm almost positive that the growers and sellers would not be moving. The growers are trying to save their land, not escape it.
It's all like America.
I'm saying if there are resorts of violence, I think that are rules and stop it.
Yeah.
Why do they call it
Is that they could kill.
Yeah.
Why are they called the growers and the sellers?
The growers are the ones that are, it's like the workers and the people in charge.
The sellers would be like,
Sellers of the government, they vote and send it to the school.
So we're not actually talking about like a product.
No, it's just names.
Oh, I thought that that's what it was. Just money.
I know. Yeah, I'm like, what are they growing?
It's what the book calls.
It's like what?
It's like the people in ethnic group. Yeah, it's like ethnic.
No, like
They're
they
ethnic.
they get moved to different countries.
The sellers are.
So that you,
These are
there's
the
different like,
Yes, they are rural.
they're rural. And then the
Sellers are peaceful. So they get they live in the existence on the farmland. Most of them live with the growers. Yep.
Okay, so it says, are they endangered?
No, or in
But they
Okay, if you choose
do
to not
different
have
functions.
economic things,
So
then
that would
like
make
they won't have food.
because it says here that they buy all of most of the military equipment used in Renaissance.
Take them out of there.
So I think that I feel that it's more viable when you're already mad, they don't fix them, and then banding, there's like.
We have no, because we have correction on the area.
That's an economic thing, is if you don't trade them, you give it food or water, and it's only gonna put
Yeah, but should we question mark?
So make sure when you're putting your proposal together, you're telling me, the president, what I should do and why, and it links to your role, those 5 goals, and why. Keep them at your table if you're going to share.
Military.
Yeah, try to put those 5 goals.
We would have said that. What if you're in the North wants to order? Yeah, so there's a civil war and then they'll go.
They're giving the growers the support, so that they can take over the country. They can trade. Maybe they'll love it now. The growers is one who wants to touch the war. So they take their weapons away.
So if we're not doing this, what are we doing?
I think we're making the list.
I don't know, I feel like we need to like, we don't need to help anyone, but.
Do you tell me what you think it should be the cost of war and
I don't know how to figure that out.
Yeah. No, we're listening to you.
Okay, so yeah, as long as you tell me what to do, why you think that,
So maybe you should start thinking like, what are
you guys in the next 3 minutes.
Just
and what are the things that you want to choose to do?
So should you just be like, hopefully we won't have to use a lot of them, and hopefully it's like our requirements.
So think about your options.
What are you exactly looking for when you want cost?
So cost is like human lives, and
But how are you supposed to?
so it was like, to do this, but you know, they're killing 35,000 people.
I know exactly.
It'd just be probably some.
I'm like, so you're still calling
We'll probably
go back to the conversation.
Do you know that individually happens to all of these? These are the help. I don't know. Yes. But make sure you like people.
Yeah, we did.
Okay, then you're right.
And so like, we should.
Someone in your group, other than the person who wrote everything, is going to share your ideas out. So someone other than the person who wrote is sharing your ideas out here in a minute.
Let's go. You're offering how much?
Okay, and then I don't know.
Do we write it on like
The back ones? Either one.
Control the situation.
So you're going to have someone who's going to share out. You've also need someone that's going to stand up and tell us about your goal. So there should be a second person. person that's going to talk, that's going to tell us about your role.
Should we just read it?
Wrap it up in the next 90 seconds here. 90-second warning.
No, we'll make it better.
Okay, what else do we want?
I'm also writing
Look at my name.
Well, like sending them
It's like scaring people to not
Where you sit all day. I said, where you sit all day. Are we ready, everybody? No. Another 30 seconds to go. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Who's talking? I can do it, but I don't know what I'm talking about, but I can make it.
So here's what's gonna happen, gang. If you're still writing, that's fine. Otherwise, look here and listen up. So we're gonna bob around to each group. Everybody needs to have out their sheet of paper you've had out since the beginning. When each group presents, you're gonna write down the group. So if it's the Department of Defense, you're gonna write DOD. As they're reading their proposal, you're gonna jot down what their main thoughts were on their proposal. So you're gonna keep track of each group as we go on your sheet of paper. When it gets to your group's turn to share, one person's going to tell us about your role so that the rest of us can understand your viewpoint and where you're coming from. And then someone else is going to share your plan for me, the president. So you need to be keeping track of each group's plan as they talk. Alright, so we will start with the State Department. They're going to tell us what their role is, so you guys can write State Department. And then when they get to, you don't need to write down their role, but when they get to their plan, that's what you need to write down little bullet points about what they thought. Alright, so who's sharing what the State Department does? Alright, Joshua, stand up.
So our role is to advance U.S. objectives and interests in shaping a freer, more secure, and prosperous world through its primary role in developing and implementing the President's foreign policy. It is also the job of the State Department to aid and protect those U.S. citizens traveling or living abroad. Many State Department employees are stationed in U.S. embassies all over the world.
Thank you, Joshua. State Department, what is your plan?
We think that we should put an economic sanction on Bratislava. We would do this because the sanctions are most peaceful, stops the country to the north, and protects the U.S. citizens. This will promote world peace and a healthy environment.
Good. So you guys should have wrote down what they wanted to do. That was the State Department. So they think we should do economic sanctions. Help promote the world peace one is what they put for their connection. An economic sanction, State Department, do you want to tell them what an economic sanction would be?
Cutting them off from almost everything they import from us and what we export from them.
Because remember from the fact sheet, they are our #1, they import more from us than any other country in the world. Thank you, State Department. We're going to move to the diplomats because they are of a similar mindset. So diplomats, what is your role?
The president has brought in the U.S. ambassador to Bratislava to get his and his associates' opinion on the country's situation. The members of this council are currently living among the people of Bratislava and have been for some time. You are close with many members of the community and have seen the violence in the nation firsthand. You have a very personal connection to this issue.
Alright, so the diplomats, these are people who live in Bratislava with the people there. So what is your plan for Bratislavian diplomats?
We're gonna send in the military, not to like kill people, but just to like control the situation and make sure nobody dies. Because then there would be no death and stuff.
Okay, so you are looking out for the health of the people and trying to protect the people.
Yeah,
With
until
US
we can
military.
like convince the sellers, stop slicing people and stuff.
That's a good advice. Thank you, diplomats. Next, we will head to the Department of Defense once Reagan's done sharpening your pencil. You get it? All right, Department of Defense, what is your role?
The mission of the Department of Defense is to provide the military forces needed to deter war, to protect the security of our country by providing official, timely, and accurate information about defense policies, organizations, functions, and operations. This is the largest department in the executive branch. The Department of Defense also supervises the military activities of other nations and reports to the President.
Thank you, Department of Defense rule reader. Who's got the proposal?
Alright, we're gonna act diplomatically with the government to try and settle the situation verbally, but we're also gonna send in US troops to help mediate the situation. We're also gonna use economic sanctions to help cut off the importing of weapons.
All right, thank you, DOD. All right, to the Joint Chiefs, what is your role, Mr. Joint Chief of Staff?
Our role is we're the chiefs of basically all military forces, and we're the key advisors to the president on military strategy.
So military strategy. So this is like the head of the Navy, the Marine Corps, the Army, National Guard. The head honchos of all of those are right here, and they tell us what to do with strategy. So what is your proposal, strategist, Joint Chiefs? Joint Chief of Staff.
We don't want to get involved militarily. We want to let this is their issue. We need to let them handle it. But we want to provide aid to the people in need. So we want to fund the growers.
The growers, okay.
Because they're being oppressed.
Thank you.
And can't send their children to school or anything.
All right, thank you, Joint Chiefs of Staff. And last but not least is the NSC, the National Security Council. What is your role, Mr. Security Council member?
Our role is, the main role of the National Security Council is to help the President make informed decisions that best protect the citizens of the United States from outside threats. One main tool is gathering intelligence from the national security of the CIA.
So National Security Council's main tool of getting information for me is the CIA. What are you going to do there, NSC lady?
So we send the CIA to gather information, and then our proposal one is to help aid growers to keep the 1,000 aid workers in rural areas from dying. So the national security providing aid to the people. And then proposal number 2, get 1,000 aid workers out and aid sellers to keep alliance and keep from receiving threats from this country. And so like promoting world peace and helping America.
Okay, thank you, NSC. So get that written down. Now, underneath that on your paper, or on the back if you're out of space, what I want you to do is I want you to now step out of your role. You're no longer a diplomat at Department of Defense and Joint Chief. You are you. If you were the president making this decision, I want you to tell me what you would do and why. So I want to know what you would do if you could do anything, if you were president, what would you do and why? So tell me what you think you would do if you were president and why. On that same paper. Yep, just write it. You can look at the other ideas that they had to pull ideas from it, but I don't know what you would do if you were going to come up with an idea. So just your opinion. Take yourself out of your role. you have that down, make sure you put your name and class at the top of that paper too before you forget. And then start, once people are finishing at your table, you can kind of pile all answers and your write-up together. We are not done. You can send one person from your group up with all of the write-ups when everybody's done, and don't forget your proposal as well. So I just need one person from each group to bring that to me. So Brown.
Yeah, I know.
Thank you.
How we should cut them off.
Oh God. Do I have all the group stuff? Oh, okay. So, real quick, raise your hand if, while you were reading or listening to me describe the Branislavian situation, if you made any connections at any time with anything in history, did it remind you of anything you've ever previously learned about? A situation or something that you've learned about in another class? World history, U.S. history, culture studies, anything. Ms. Schumacher.
Rwandan genocide?
The Rwandan genocide, it had links to that. Ireland.
Vietnam.
What about Vietnam?
How it was like the two sides and the wealthy people versus like the poor
Good.
people.
Yep, and the government on each side. Billy?
With the oil in Iraq.
The oil in Iraq, going into countries because of oils in Iraq, yeah. Jacob, were you going to say Rwanda? Vietnam too. Okay, so what I linked it to and kind of based it off of was the situation in Rwanda in the 90s. So I'm going to kind of, if you've learned about it before, that's fine. This will be a refresher. But I'm going to kind of read you real quick what happened in Rwanda, and then we're going to talk about the actual response by the president in the United States. So just kind of listen as I read through it. Rwanda is a country in Africa. It was once under Belgian control. It gained its independence in 1962. The Hutu were the country's largest ethnic group, and the Tutsis were the chief minority. By 1962, the Hutu ethnic group had overthrown the Tutsi king, killing or exiling thousands of Tutsis in the process. Because a republic was established, the Hutu majority was able to control the government. In 1990, a Tutsi rebel group attempted to overthrow the government. The following year, the RPF was conducting peace negotiations with the Hutu leader. Hutu extremists, however, did not want a peace deal. They liked having the power and they hated the minority so much. When the president, who was negotiating the peace deal, when his plane crashed, many people assumed he was killed by Hutu extremists because they opposed the peace deal and wanted to frame the Tutsi leaders. It was exactly what they needed to take power. Over the next 100 days, the Rwandan armed forces began systematically killing moderate Hutu politicians. Radio broadcasts urged Hutus to get rid of the cockroaches, a name for the Tutsis. The militia groups called the Interahamwe roamed the streets, killing Tutsis by the thousands. By the end of July, Hutus had taken machetes and slaughtered 800,000 of their Tutsi neighbors, colleagues, and sympathizers, just because they were a different ethnic group. So, sound a little bit kind of similar to this. Does anybody know what the response of the United States was? You remember a little bit, Miss Helly?
Didn't they like not go in, they stayed out of it?
The United States stayed out of it. Anything else? Who was president at the time? Oh,
They got all like U.S. citizens out of the country.
They did. They took all European and U.S. citizens out of the country, and they didn't stay and help the Rwandans. So Bill Clinton was president. This was in 1994. So what happened was, the United States and the rest of the European countries, along with the United Nations, chose to do nothing. They had a few peacekeepers there, but they didn't allow them to use force of any kind. The way they were allowed to do this is because even though they had signed an international agreement saying if any genocide were to take place, they are obligated to take action. If you remember from the movie Hotel Rwanda, anytime the United States talked about it, they said acts of genocide, not genocide. That was their way around of actually agreeing to the fact that there was genocide. So by saying that there were only acts of genocide happening, the United States and the United Nations didn't have to take action and didn't have to go into the country. So the president stayed out of it, so did the rest of the nation. After the 100 days, after 800,000 Tutsis had been slaughtered with machetes, the United States finally sent in 200 troops to help restore and bring humanitarian relief. And at that time, there was already almost 1 million people killed. So, later on, after he was president, Bill Clinton came out and said that this is one of his biggest regrets, was not helping the people of Rwanda when they were being slaughtered. Why do you think? What do you think is different about Rwanda from this fictional country of Bratislava? Why do you think nothing went down to help the Rwandans? Josh?
They didn't really have like an economical benefit to us.
Yeah, they were just some tribes people in Africa. Yeah, there wasn't anything to get out of it, however sad it was. What did Bratislava have? Oil. Just like during the first Persian Gulf War. Oil. Saddam Hussein had oil. So Saudi Arabia had oil. So that's something to think about. Just when it comes to being president, this is why Ms. Kennecott only wears a fake tag and would never take $400,000 to make decisions like this one, or decisions like the one you guys had to help me come up with, because it's a lot of work. That is why the executive branch is 5 million people, because you need the opinions from different people on different angles and different issues. So it's really important to think when no matter who the president is or who the people in government are, they are making some pretty tough decisions, and they are being advised by a lot of different people. So it is a very big process in the executive branch. Every single ambassador in the State Department, everyone in the military, yeah, 5 million. The largest of the 3 branches, Ms. Wagner. Yeah. Yeah, it's a big old branch. Okay, any questions at all about advisors to the president, executive branch, all that fun, exciting stuff? Nope? Okay, tomorrow we are going to do the legislative and judicial branch notes.